Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I mean, seriously, who thought that this would be a good idea? Who thought that this is exactly what inner city communities needed to turn the whole ship around? We're once again talking about LeBron James.
LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James.
He's often described as the GOAT, businessman, philanthropist. I'd argue he's none of those, really. He's definitely not the GOAT. I mean, not even close. There's a couple players in the league right now that are literally better than him, and that's before we even get to the Michael Jordan conversation. Apparently he's a businessman. I'm not exactly sure what businesses he's really spearheaded. He's more of a brand, if you ask me. And the third one, a philanthropist, because he opened up a school, LeBron James's I Promise School in Akron, Ohio. Yeah, again, I don't think it works. Although philanthropist is probably the only title that really could stick here, because he is, I guess, in a way being generous with his money, to an extent. He did pour capital into creating something for the community, sure, but usually if you're engaging in philanthropy, humanitarian work, or charity, you're supposed to produce something of positive value. We're now getting reports that LeBron James opened up a school in Akron to bring a quality education to a community that really needed it. Well, we're now learning that over the last 3 years at LeBron James's I Promise School, not a single incoming 8th grader has passed the state's basic math test. Yikes. Let's have a conversation about this. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the headline basically says what I just told you. Not one incoming 8th grader at LeBron James's I Promise School in Akron has passed the state's basic math test in over 3 years. The shocking news left board member Valerie McKittrick astonished as she expressed her disbelief, saying, "Not one? In 3 years?" The data presented to her that not a single student from the fall 8th grade class at the I Promise School could achieve proficiency in the Ohio State math test per the Akron Beacon Journal. Keith Likely Clifford, the district director of school improvement in Akron, expressed his discouragement with the newly discovered information. Despite substantial financial support from the James Foundation, as well as local, state, and federal funding, the I Promise School's performance among students has been deeply concerning. These students now find themselves testing at the bottom 5% of the entire state. As a result of these distressing test scores, the Ohio Department of Education will be stepping in to intervene at the I Promise School. The intervention is a last-ditch effort to reverse the declining trend in test performance and address the challenges that the school faces. It's kind of a weird situation because a lot of people are acting real shocked, confused. How could it be? With all the money, all the press. I mean, just look at these photos. All these press conferences with LeBron James dressed in his suit. Look at the facilities. It's a beautiful school with LeBron James's branding and face all over the place. It's not possible. This shock and confusion, to me, honestly, I just don't get it. It's confusing. I find it anything but. You mean to tell me that LeBron James, very educated mind LeBron James.
I speak from a very educated mind. I'm kind of the wrong guy to actually go at because I do my homework.
LeBron James, very well read LeBron James.
Taylor, you want to follow up?
Yeah. So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I kind of just started a couple days ago, but I've read and a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading this from start to finish. But just a very smart man, very, very, very smart man, and basically his words in the 60s and what was going on.
Mr. pretending to read books, Mr. coming from an educated mind, but has literally no insight on any intellectual topic. That guy is going to create a school with academic integrity and, more importantly, strong academic outcomes? Give me a break. The whole thing had one purpose and one purpose alone: positive press for LeBron James, so he can put pictures of himself within the school. Honestly, this school seems to have a focus on literally everything but academics. I think that seems to be the problem problem in public schools in general, and so we're going to call it a Democrat problem because public schools, of course, as we know, are essentially an extension of the Democrat Party as a whole, especially in inner city communities. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the situation with LeBron James' school is. It's probably a charter school, but it's being ran with the exact same nonsense woke philosophy. I mean, how are you supposed to expect math proficiency and how are you supposed to teach math when you're part of the same group that's arguing that math is racist? There's been a slow drift away from academics and more into cultural nonsense and, of course, woke grievances. That's what I've observed. And obviously the issues at LeBron James's I Promise school fall in line with the same that we're seeing at all these failing public schools in these major Democrat cities. The reality is, how can you expect positive outcomes when you have no real academic standards and, frankly, very little standards at all? Throwing money at a problem doesn't fix it. That's something that people need to understand. You know, I think this situation with LeBron James's school is kind of a microcosm of the issue as a whole. It's indicative of the larger reality. The Democrat strategy when tackling inequality is to simply throw money at it. I mean, it's pretty easy for them, considering it's your money and not theirs. Just throw money at the problem. It'll fix itself. What we need is more taxes and more funding. More taxes and more funding. It's utter nonsense because you go to foreign countries with much worse economies, less facilities, you know, legitimate developing countries. Some of these developing countries have incredible schools that churn out freaking math whizzes. Kids getting scholarships to Harvard a full ride. Money's not the problem. The problem is culture. The problem is this woke culture with no standards that teaches victimology. All inequitable outcomes are out of your control. There's always someone else or something else to blame. And anytime a new way of thinking, or if you ask me, the proper way of thinking, is suggested, well, it's viewed as patriarchy or white male patriarchy thinking, white male Republican ideology. You know, here's a great example from a clip that's being passed around. As Ice Cube is slowly taking the red pill, well, here's the reaction.
Can I talk to y'all as a millennial and 80s baby and tell you how disappointed it is to see men that made very socially progressive rap as far as anti-establishment music about the police specifically, turning around and becoming Republicans or Republican adjacent. This whole thing with Ice Cube is super duper weird. Now, I'm personally seeing a lot of times that there's a lot of black men that are being indoctrinated into conservative thought processes. They're basically taking all the white male conservative talking points except for racism and adopting that, and that is becoming like this cult that is sucking black men in.
Any thought process that goes against the woke norm is white male conservative thought that should be ignored and immediately disregarded. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just common sense and basic standards and basic values. Maybe this Democrat victim approach is an utter failure. Maybe it's not a coincidence that all the failing schools that we're seeing in failing school districts ran by disastrous school boards happen to be in major Democrat strongholds. Maybe it's not a coincidence that the Democrat stronghold state that is California has one of the worst public school systems in the entire nation. Maybe these schools that are in these neighborhoods servicing the most vulnerable communities shouldn't be ran by LeBron James or some other woke Karens. Maybe they should start getting a little bit more serious, a whole lot more strict, and focus a little bit more on academics. I know, a shocking concept. Instead, these schools have no standards. They teach people to be victims and to blame everybody else but themselves, to never take accountability. They allow school proceedings in class to be disrupted by out-of-control youth, at the detriment of kids who are actually there to learn. There's no disciplinary standards, there's no academic standards, there's no standards in general. Because, of course, as we know, academic standards, cultural standards, traditional standards, well, those are all relics of white European fascism or something. I don't know. Absolute freaking clown world. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.